What Mike mentioned Trey's deal today, just how much, I don't want to say closure, but just kind of lets you kind of know where things are at. How does that kind of help things going forward?
Help things as far as
just
what?
Knowing your running back situation, kind of having the week to week, like can you play?
Right. I mean,
just kind of moving forward, knowing what you have the rest of the way.
Yeah, well, I mean, you feel sorry for the young man, but it's good for us from the standpoint of, like you're saying, there's some something that's definite there. It's definitive. So, we'll just keep working. The guys know who's in the room and who has a chance of playing, and we just move forward.
I know there was talk last week that maybe you could come back. I mean, when was the decision made? Just like, okay, probably won't be able to come back this season. So.
You got to talk to coach about that.
What this week? I mean, what's the plan just with the backs? I mean, is it Devine or Mikhail, or does it depend on the first play call? Like, as far as what you guys do this week as your first play out of the gates?
Yeah, I mean, right now, Devine and Mikhail are the guys that have been rolling. We'll see if we can get JB in there, let him work some. Devine's been running well, so we're leaning towards him right now, and we'll see how it goes. But it'll probably be Devine.
What Taylor had 200 rushing yards, I know, against this Purdue defense, but they still only had 17 points. What did their defense do to keep Wisconsin's offense out of the end zone a couple weeks ago?
They're just good up front. I mean, they move a lot. They're strong. They're fast. And they play with their hair on fire. So they play with a lot of tenacity, and they bring a lot of pressure to try and confuse things. They don't make it easy on you. Blocking-wise, they don't let you know exactly who you have. You might think you have one guy, and then at the snap of the ball, there's stunting and pressuring and all kinds of stuff going on. So they don't make it easy on you. They're a good defense. That's just what they are.
What do you feel like your guys did in that Ohio State game? You have a game where it kind of gets out of hand early. You're not running the ball as much. I mean, how do they do in terms of the pass protection or even going out receptions, that kind of thing?
Obviously we didn't do as well as we should have because we didn't put up very many points. But, the guys are doing a much better job picking up pass protection. We have very few busts that way. So I'm proud of the guys that way. They do a good job with it, even when they get things that we haven't seen. Defense gives us a pressure or a look that we haven't prepared for because we haven't seen it. They still do a good job with it. So the guys have really matured in that area, and they're doing a good job in their pass protection and blitz recognition.
How familiar are you with Nick Holt, their D coordinator, with his time at Washington and USC before that, and finds his way at Purdue now?
Yeah, played him a little bit when we were on the West Coast. But the guy's always, he puts good defenses on the field, and he likes the pressure. So we know that much about him, and that's what it looks like they do. There's plenty of pressure out there on the film.
This doesn't have Ray Malaluga and those guys anymore.
A little different guys, but I tell you what, now he's got some good players over there. Those guys are playing well, and there's some good players too.
When your attorney takes that first snap between Devine and Mikhail, does ball security come into? How much does that play, I guess, into the factor of who starts and who doesn't, or does it?
Oh no, absolutely it does. It's one of the factors that we take into account without a doubt. I mean, it's huge, because if one of them is putting the ball on the turf a lot, that's not going to help us win in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So the guys that are having good ball security will be bumped ahead of the guys that don't.
Are you talking from games or practices or both?
Yeah, it's always a little bit of both. You're going to weigh heavier the games because what they do in games is what matters, obviously. But, you never discount practice either. So, but both of those guys have been doing a pretty good job of holding on to the ball.
Devine had that fumble against Illinois a couple weeks ago, and you guys went right back to him later in the game to kind of ice it. Was that just confidence in him?
Yeah, because, it's just like a receiver dropping a ball. You know what I mean? It's not what you want, but you like to go back to them and keep their confidence going. Once a guy, if he does it again, then you probably got to yank him. But if a guy can build his confidence back up after something like that, that's beneficial to the whole team.
What did you guys emphasize specifically in your room this week, trying to get better at throughout the bye week?
Well, we really went back to fundamentals, pass pro wise, how we're reading some of our plays, making sure our footwork is tight. Making sure even with our route running that we're where we need to be on the field because a lot of our routes are complementary routes to other routes the receivers are doing. So a lot of the little things that we wanted to make sure that we just really tightened up on.
How do you think the guys handled just having a week off? Was it a good thing for them? Were they ready to get back to
I'm sure it was a good thing. I mean, practice today was pretty spirited, and I thought it was sharp. So I think it was good for him.
Jalen Bradley, I mean, have you seen progress from him just throughout the practices this season? He hasn't been able to do as much during games, but in practice, he's kind of seen the progress that you want.
Absolutely. He's starting to learn a lot of things that he was never asked to do in high school. And so he's coming along well. So I'm happy with his progress.
He had the 7 carries across the 2 games. What Mike said, he'd like him to be more involved. But when you go about game planning, can you say, like, okay, we're going to get him 3 carries in a series here, or is it not that simple?
No, it's a little bit more involved than that because some of it depends on the kind of game you're in. And, we have certain personnel groupings sometimes that we put him in. And if those aren't conducive for the situation, then he doesn't get the opportunities as much. So we're going to see if we can get him a little bit more action.
Is he about where your previous true freshman guys have been? I mean, Divine in 2015 and Trey in 2016. Is he along that same path?
Maybe it's slightly behind those guys. I mean, I think those guys were getting a little more action by this time than he has up until this point.